Sometimes, places are just destined for evil. It takes root, like a stain that never goes away. What happens when something so bad occurs in a place that can never be forgotten? One place like this is the Villisca Axe Murder House. Sometime in the early morning hours of June 11th, 1912, a family of 6 and 2 guests were bludgeoned to death with an axe. 6 of the victims were children. The death of the Moore family and their guests is famously unsolved, but the echoes of that event live on in the house where the crimes took place over 100 years ago. On the night of June 11th, the local Presbyterian church was holding its children's program, as they do every year. Sarah Moore was organizing the production, and the Moore children were participating in the event. The father, Josiah Moore, was in attendance. The Stillingers, who were friends with the Moore's oldest daughter, accompanied the family home for a sleepover at around 9:45 to 10 p.m. The next day, the neighbor noticed that the family had not woken up and started their daily chores. After failing to get a response from the house, she promptly retrieved Ross Moore, Josiah's brother, who had a key. Upon entering, they found a grisly scene. The entire Moore family and the Stillinger sisters were murdered, bludgeoned to death with an axe. The Stillinger sisters were found downstairs in the guest bedroom. The other family members were found upstairs in their respective bedrooms. All victims appeared to be asleep when they were murdered, except for the oldest Stillinger girl, who had defensive wounds. All the window curtains were drawn closed, with the exception of 2 windows that did not have curtains. The killer covered these windows with cloth belonging to the Moores. Strangely, all the mirrors in the house were also covered. The axe was found in the room occupied by the Stillinger girls. It was wiped down, but blood was still present on the axe. Along with the axe, the investigators found a 2-pound slab of bacon wrapped in a cloth. All the bodies were found with their faces covered by bedding. Upstairs, in a hidden attic room, they found used cigarette butts, as if the killer waited there for the family to return that night. A bloody pan of water and an uneaten plate of food was found in the kitchen. Both doors to the house were locked. After a 5-year investigation and legal action against 3 different suspects, no killer was ever definitively found. Had these crimes been committed today, DNA, cell phone records, and Ring doorbells would have made it clear who the killer was. But the year was 1912, and murder investigations were not what they are today. Hundreds of people toured the house, even with the bodies still in the beds. The lead investigator even handed around the murder weapon for townspeople to examine. The reality is, after over 100 years, the killer or killers are long dead by now, taking to their grave the secrets of what happened that night. But something stayed around the old Moore house, a dark stain that has lingered there for years. This residual energy can still be felt, heard, and seen in the dead of night. Countless people have stayed in the Villisca Axe Murder House, looking for some type of ghostly encounter, and they're not disappointed. Many paranormal groups have done investigations there. Whispers and footsteps are often heard. Children can sometimes be heard laughing upstairs. One investigator was able to communicate with what he believed to be the spirits of the children by asking questions and having them turn on and off a flashlight. The house is considered to be highly active. The caretaker of the house was closing down for the night when he heard the downstairs kitchen door open and close. Unexpected visitors just dropping by unannounced were not uncommon at the time, so the caretaker decided to try to give these intruders a little scare. He hid in the kids' room closet upstairs and planned to jump out and scare the intruders. As he waited in the closet, he heard the slow footsteps walking up the stairs and into the room that he was in. The caretaker then jumped out, but no one was there. The room was empty. A cold chill ran down the caretaker's spine as he realized he was alone. After checking the whole house, he realized that all the doors into the house were still locked, just as he had left them. But the stories get darker still. On November 7, 2014, a group of amateur paranormal investigators showed up at the Villisca Axe Murder House. They were excited for a night in the famed Axe Murder House, but that night ended in disaster. At about 12:45, coincidentally the alleged time of the 1912 murders, 37-year-old Robert Stephen Lawrenson Jr. went into the downstairs guest bedroom alone to try and invoke a reaction from the spirits. The rest of the investigators were outside talking when they heard a frantic call break out over the radio. A call for help and the sound of a scuffle. They found Robert repeatedly stabbed in the chest with a long hunting knife. They called 911 and quickly searched the house for the attacker, with no luck. Paramedics arrived shortly after and stabilized Robert. They reported that the stab wounds apparently looked to be self-inflicted. Robert later recovered from his injuries, but refused to talk about what happened in the room that night. He did eventually return to the house to apologize to the spirits for provoking them. Are places doomed to repeat their past? Are some stains too tough to remove? Or are we, as humans, fascinated with macabre places, attracted and compelled to live out their dark past? I guess we'll never know. Tell me your ghost encounters below in the comments. Like and subscribe, and as always, are you programmed to receive the night signal?